welcome to SJU. Thank you for your patronage this fine, Wednesday morning. We're going to get into it all of the things. There's nothing that we're not going to get into today, and it's all in support of direct relief and Black Lives Matter. There are links in the description below for how you can support. And right after this show, for your viewing entertainment, we have Nolan North in a Hey Fandom, which is basically our video AMA series where you are able to come up and ask your own questions. So there is a link also in the description for you to join that and come in and ask your own questions. And tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, Joe Starr is offering you the chance to win up to $650 to test your Pokemon knowledge. We have a trivia game right after this show tomorrow at noon, hosted by one Mr. Joe Starr, who's right here with me today.
Hi. Yeah, I have a hat ready to go for the extra special bonus.
I missed the hat.
Pop quiz, Joe. What Pokemon is that hat?
It's Charman.
Don't check the label.
It's a Charizard.
There you go.
Spencer, I think you were legally prohibited from participating, but I feel like you do really well.
Yeah, you're right. It's probably restricted to fandom employees, but I was once upon a time a Pokemaster, but the series has progressed far beyond my OG Pokemon Red and Blue knowledge. Now they're in all sorts of colors: Pokemon Teal, Pokemon Fax Machine. Like they've made so many since then.
Well, we encourage you to come and bone up on that Poke knowledge tomorrow by watching the show, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. And for those of you out there, you can participate and your chance to win Poke dollars. I mean, it's real money. Okay. Let's talk about sequels that people would love to see the most. This is via us, Get Fandom. Our fandom social team put the question out. You've been given the power to instantly greenlight any sequel you want. What are you choosing? And then tallied all of the replies. So we thought we'd look at some of the choices and then give our own. Here's the top 10 list, highest to lowest. And then we'll go back and talk about where these sequels actually were or are in development, if they are anywhere. Alita, Fallen Angel, Man from U.N.C.L.E. 2, Man of Steel 2, Dredd 2, Tron 3, Solo 2, Raimi's Spider-Man 4, Del Toro's Hellboy 3, Power Rangers 2, Mad Max Fury Road 2. So that's the list from highest ranked to lowest. So in descending order, Alita, number one with a bullet, stands out. Why do you think that I'm surprised a little bit that there is such a passionate fan base, but maybe I shouldn't be because Alita had, I guess, a passionate fan base going into that first movie.
Can't stop, won't stop the Battle Angels.
I blame Brie Larson.
Okay.
No, I think that this is there's also
voting from different accounts.
Yeah, a multitude of factors. There was the whole stupid Captain Marvel versus Alita internet activism thing at the moment, but I think also Alita 1 was very clearly meant to be a series, meant to be a franchise. It kind of when you have a surprise Ed Norton at the end, when you do the old surprise Norton, that means you have plans to go different places. Like the whole movie is about Zalem. I want to get to Zalem. When are we going to get to Zalem? So Alita 2, Zalem, I think is meant to happen. Also, James Cameron dumped 500 pages worth of notes on Robert Rodriguez's desk. And so clearly there's a lot more material to draw from. And I'd check out another Alita.
It was planned as a trilogy initially, and I think that they were very enthusiastic and bullish about being able to execute that plan. I guess it's not that I don't want to see an Alita sequel because I was left hanging too, but as a movie, and this is where I'm going to get in trouble again because I said this when I reviewed it the first time, I actually think that's, as a movie, a failing because it ended on, it's not a TV show and there is no guarantee that we're going to be able to get that satisfaction. So it was a little, to me, frustrating to end on that note where I guess it achieved what it wanted to do in that I was curious and wanted more. But there's no guarantee that we're going to get more. Mm-hmm. So it didn't feel like a complete film in that respect. Joe Starr, more Alita for you?
Yeah, no Alita for me. I think for that reason, the Alita movement aside, I don't think you should reward bad storytelling. I think it was bad storytelling on their part to set up a world instead of just give us a good movie. And I don't think it should be rewarded. I think when your dog craps on the rug, you spray it with a little water bottle and you say no. And that's what I say to Alita for crapping.
Wow, calling it dog crap. Harsh words. Harsh words, Joe Starr. I think I wouldn't call it bad storytelling. Yeah, it was incomplete storytelling, and it was good world building. They spent so much time building the world that you were living in that it's like, okay, now we can really set a story here. But they didn't have so much time for that. It's got Avatar problems. Speaking of James Cameron, where like it seems what they were most interested in was telling you how this place works and who the denizens are of this underground city and what's the rollerblading sport thing? Murder ball? What is it?
Murder ball.
Murder ball. How murder ball works. Alita ball. And how the bounty hunter thing works. And like it was a lot of setup. So I understand both comments of like why this shouldn't be rewarded because it's an incomplete story, but I also understand wanting to complete that story, like why fans are really like, okay, give us more, because nothing's more frustrating than like just singing the first half of a song. Like your brain wants to complete the rest of it.
It depends on the song there, Spencer. It depends on the song. I think it's interesting because it's almost like if you had an encyclopedic kind of lore thing and then you made that into a movie franchise. Yeah, I'm throwing Fantastic Beasts shade.
Yeah, man.
Hey guys, I have a good question. So some of the chat is wondering what's the difference between when you guys talk about Alita setting up too much. What's the difference between that and then like the MCU or something like that? Because I see some people in the chat saying like, "Hey, the MCU always sets up for the next thing." Good.
Because a couple of things. The one time that the MCU blatantly was using a movie primarily as a tool to set up further movies was Iron Man 2, and it sucked. And they learned their lesson after that, where they could seed things that were going to the future, but the movie itself still needs to remain complete. It needs to be a story with arcs. You need to walk out of that particular film and feel like you had an experience that was complete unto itself. Perhaps the exception from that is in the split Infinity War saga, where it was Infinity War and then Endgame, where Infinity War ended, and then you needed Endgame to complete that story. And I will say, of the two, I prefer Endgame because I feel complete by the end of it. But they did a good job, even in Infinity War, and I know it's been said a ton before, but I promise I said it right after I saw the movie, of at least making Thanos the protagonist of that film so that there was one complete arc throughout the course of the story. That is the difference.
Roth, and when I went to high school, the big hip hop movement everybody was into was No Limit Records, Master P's No Limit Records. And Master P was a trailblazer because in every one of every No Limit album, you open up the jewel case and you don't just get a CD of great tracks by Master P. But then you also get all these little pullouts that were like album covers of previews of things that were coming next to keep you excited. And I think that's the difference. Is some movies forget to just put the mystical and twisted inserts in, and they forget to do the CD.
Yeah, there
Perfect
you go.
Analogy, Joe. Thank you.
Perfect analogy.
You made him say, nah.
And I said that quite definitively. I'm certainly open to other people having different opinions, but for me, that's the difference, and that's why I thought Alita was, like Spencer said, incomplete and therefore flawed storytelling. And it made me irritated at the end. That ending irritated me, and I understand that I'm also not somebody that's super familiar with it, and so for many, that was probably just very exciting. And you were the people that voted, so there you go. You've had your say, and I don't know. This is one of the ones where we actually don't have an update in terms of where it actually is in development. So I really don't know. Do you guys know?
The last we heard from Christoph Waltz was like not likely, especially with the Disney sale, but it's kind of in that gray area. But
if it suddenly makes $1 zillion on VOD, maybe.
It would have by now, right? So yeah, maybe you'll get like not a Quibi series. Maybe you'll get a Netflix series or something in a few years. But they're not gonna throw $100 $50+ million at something again if it didn't work. Maybe honestly, if the Snyder Cut, like they can somehow track how well the Snyder Cut did, there might be more of an appetite for a loud fan-driven requests for new films.
All right. All right. I can feel the chat astirring, Ryan. So keep us informed if they're like, I want to fight you on your whole Iron Man thesis. That's okay. But where did these Man from U.N.C.L.E. stands come from? Like,
It's a good movie.
not for me. It's a good movie. I just didn't know there were stands for it. I enjoyed it. That was fun.
Yeah. I didn't know that either. But I definitely think it was it came and went, and it was kind of underrated. I think people wrote it off as a D tier IP grab and just didn't go, but it was fun.
Yeah, I thought it was enjoyable. I liked both of the key performances in that movie of Henry Cavill and
Armie Hammer.
Rich Boy McKee.
Right?
Yeah, Armie Hammer. So,
Rich Boy McGee.
Rich Boy McGee.
Speaking of Henry Cavill, I actually thought this would be higher on the list, but Man of Steel 2 comes in at number 3. And of course, there has been recent talk of Cavill continuing as Superman, but in other team-up films, not in his solo films. So sad face on that, guys.
Yeah, give Superman his own movie again. I know it hasn't worked in the past, but like I honestly think that you can do. This is going to sound crazy, but like a lower budget Superman movie, it doesn't need to be him punching a infinite CGI army to death. Like it can be about him interacting with regular people. And I think that like there are so many great stories to tell, or even a battle of wits between Superman and Brainiac or Superman and Lex Luthor. Like this doesn't need to be an enormous alien beat 'em up. Like there's so many great human, personal Superman stories to tell, and definitely we got to give Cavill another shot.
Yeah, I would love to see. Even I don't think this is going to happen, by the way, but I'll just say it. I would love to see something even more intimate than that, and even more earthbound. You know, his original foes, like harkening back to really, really, really the Superman roots and when he was created. His original foes were very much human, you know, and they were corrupt corporate raiders and things like and politicians. And I think you need to have something that embodies that, which Lex does, certainly. But I don't even think you need to have. Should I say we don't even need any aliens?
He's an alien. You got your alien right there. Yeah. My favorite parts of Man of Steel are like the like heavily filtered like Americana stuff. Like I could have watched Henry Cavill just drift around from town to town doing odd jobs and destroying truckers' livelihoods. I think that was the best part of Man of Steel for me.
Yeah.
I just want to note that I feel like I just heard Ryan Flush. I'm just calling it out because I think you all heard it too.
I have an idea that will make everyone happy, I think.
Okay.
You give Man of Steel 2 the green light. You make Alita Battle Angel a supporting character in the DCEU.
Whoa, a franchise trade.
A franchise trade. Everyone's happy.
All right. That's how we solve the problems in the world today. So thank you, Joe Starr. Dredd 2, man, I would have loved to see that. This is in 2017. Karl Urban, he loved that character too. Said he had some discussions about starring in a new Dredd TV series, but it wasn't clear if it would be continuity with the film or not. It seemed likely. It would not be as the filmmakers weren't involved, but that's the latest update we have on that. It's a bummer too. It's so good. It was riffing right off the raid, but still.
Yeah.
So
which
good.
is fine.
Yeah. The best.
Yeah, like this is one of those, and this will probably be a theme if we do everyone on this list, where it's like, if the filmmakers want to do it, then yeah, Karl Urban wants to do it. Who directed Dredd? I was trying to look it up. I don't remember.
Ryan, if you're done in the potty, because
okay, I googled it. Karl Urban claims Alex Garland actually directed Dredd, not Pete Travis. It appears the long-standing rumor is true. Pete Travis forced out of the production. Alex Garland, y'all love him.
Huh.
Is that
I'm just looking at this is just on IndieWire. I'm just the Google Messenger.
That's fascinating because I don't see him as an action guy, but if he did that, I am incorrect.
I mean, Alex Garland, he wrote the 28 Days Later, or the zombie movies. But direction, I mean, look, if he has an idea for one and wants to go back to that world, hell yeah, but no one should make a movie against their will. And I feel that way about Dredd 2. But it sounds like Carl Urban's on board. But if you can get the team back together, then definitely put that in my veins.
I also think nobody has to make a movie against their will, Spencer.
What's that?
I don't think anyone has ever truly been like actors do, not directors though, typically, unless they're like people might be contracted for sequels and then they do have to make movies against their will.
Yes.
I'm just thinking about forced creativity and what that means.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sliding scale, right? Because there's a lot of people who do like I'll make Happy Feet 2 if you let me make Mad Max Fury Road. Like, one for me, one for you. I think
you're calling out a specific person in Georgia. Yeah, he did do that. Joe Starr, and thank God. Joe Starr, thoughts?
I'd want Dredd 2 to have a different feel to it. Like the John Wick movies are all definitely John Wick movies, but I feel like each one feels a little different, just presentation-wise and action-wise. So I don't know what that means for Dredd necessarily, but I wouldn't want them to go back to the sort of raid riff, slow-mo drug I'd want it to have a different angle, feel-wise.
Tron 3 surprises me a little bit because Tron 2 wasn't hugely successful as much as Disney had put into marketing that film. I remember it. Also, Tron 2 came out a long time ago. But this was being developed at one point, and Disney continues to keep the franchise alive with the theme park ride in Shanghai, which is now being built for Disney World. This is via Eric Goldman. But yeah, that's the least likely one I think that we've ever seen.
I think people really liked the cartoon series. Mm-hmm. I think Elijah Wood was a voice in that. I also might be making that up. But I think that's why there's still some love for it, because after that one, I think the show was Tron Uprising was the name of the show. Yeah. People really liked that. So I think that's sort of a real Ghostbusters kind of situation where that's where a lot of that really intense fandom comes from, is that series.
He is the voice, by the way. So he was the voice in Tron Uprising, the show.
Got it. Thank you.
Hey, we're going to check in Ryan with the comments here in a minute. So go ahead and see what folks are saying about things that they would like to see that are on this list or are not on this list, or thoughts about any of the movies that we've discussed so far. I have a confession, Spencer.
You haven't seen Tron 2 like me?
No, I have. I saw it at the time. It was one of the first,
I never saw Tron.
It was one of the first movie reporter things I did. I was like, I'm getting to go see a movie for free early. This is the best job ever. I liked Tron, you guys. Wonder though if it's related to what I just said.
That's how they get you.
There's one moment in it that Caleb and I quote all the time, which is that because it's Jeff Bridges, there's this one moment when the one version of him turns and says something very, very dramatic, like, "Are you gonna do this thing in this world?" And he just looks up and he goes, "Yeah."
It's very doodly.
It's very doodly. All of a sudden, it's the greatest moment in that franchise. But you've never seen it, Spencer.
No, I didn't know there. Well, I guess I knew there was a Tron 2. Is that the same as Tron Legacy?
Yeah, Tron Legacy.
Okay, haven't seen it. I wondered by like a light bike, like a light cycle, right past me.
Like a glowy frisbee shooting past your head. I wonder too if after years of having that very good score pop up on people's Apple Play shuffle.
Yeah.
It's changed their view of the movie, and they're just like, yeah, man, good movie.
I mean, I'll take any excuse to go back in the computer, Zoolander style. It sounds like a fun place to be, but I don't know. Yeah, sure. Jeff Bridges in a computer. Keep making those.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, the score truly is great. It's Daft Punk. It's an interesting world to be in. I think I like Tron. I just do. I think I like Tron. And that's it.
That's Tron. Ooh, maybe we'll get Cisco for the soundtrack.
Solo 2, no planned sequel, but story and character aspects could be folded into the general Star Wars timeline. Would you like to see a Solo 2?
No. Sorry, I don't have anything clever to say.
Okay.
I'd see a Solo 2. I found Solo inoffensive, which is not what you want for a Star Wars movie. I'd rather they take big swings and connect or miss. But this was like, this is just like a young Han Solo adventure. That's exactly what I was promised. That's exactly what I got. I'd watch him do another spice run somewhere. It doesn't have to be connected to some a throwaway line of dialogue from the original trilogy. In fact, I think that kind of hampers your options.
You got to find out how he got the stripe on his pants.
I take it back. I need to know how he got that stripe. So, Solo 2, Old Navy in space.
Open, outfit questions. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of vest questions, stripe questions, boot questions, even. If Solo is just the vehicle to have just a roguish Star Wars side story, that's fine. It doesn't get me excited. It doesn't crush my spirit. But then again, I'm not like super attached to the character. Yes, Roth?
Thank you. Can I ask a general Star Wars lore question to either of you, really? But Joe, I think you're the expert. Why don't people change their clothes?
I think that's a fair question across pop culture in general. People don't change their clothes, and it's weird.
For decades, I mean, Han Solo.
For a long time.
It bothers me too, though. It's for the same reason as like if you watch something set in like the Dark Ages, and you're like, oh, no one brushing their teeth. Oh, they're kissing. Those teeth aren't brushed. Yeah, I don't know, but they do need to change their clothes. Star Wars does a decent job of folks changing their clothes. Like Luke changes his clothes a few times. But ultimately, unless A New Hope takes place in a day, and I don't think it takes place in a day, like change your clothes.
Well, what's Star Wars hygiene tech like? Because they might have like, some kind of UV light bathroom that just immediately sanitizes all their stank zones. And then
kill all the viruses.
Yes, they don't need to change.
There might be a back to tank for your chonies where you just drop it in. The only Solo 2 I want to see, Roth Cornet, is with Harrison Ford. And you do a Star Wars themed What Dreams May Come. That's the Solo 2 that I want to see. Actually, that'd be a good idea.
Yeah. That's another movie where it's like it's definitely not good. What Dreams May Come, but it's so like visually compelling and pretty that I will watch that movie. I will watch you.
It's so earnest that you just kind of have to forgive it. You're like,
Which
you know
one
what?
Is that?
The one with Cuba Gooding Jr. and he leads Robin Williams through
the afterlife.
Come on,
man.
Yeah, not for calling.
Oh wow! You got to watch What Dreams May Come.
Okay,
we might have to do a does it. I mean,
going on the list.
But like throw it on the list. Raimi's Spider-Man 4 came closest to happening of any movie on this list. John Malkovich cast as Vulture and Hathaway as Black Cat before Sony decided to do a reboot instead of The Amazing Spider-Man. Man.
Yeah, I'd watch this, but you'd want to bring the band back together. And like, I know Toby already looked like a 40-year-old man playing a teenager, but now he's really gonna be an old face. But so I don't want this just because I think that Raimi, his Spider-Verse is so connected to that cast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think at this point you'd have to do that. What was that Spider-Man comic they tried to do that was like their Dark Knight Returns riff, and it's just grimdark and terrible, and like having sex with a guy full of spider radiation like killed Mary Jane.
Whoa.
It's so bad. It reads like a Frank Miller parody, but I feel like that's probably the only one you could do at this point.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll plow through some of these other ones, and then we definitely want to hear from folks in the comments. Del Toro's Hellboy 3 reboot with David Harbour happened instead, so boo.
Yeah.
Unfortunate. How are
Again, I don't think Del Toro wants to make this movie, does he? Can we should check some interviews to see if he wanted to.
You know what? I feel like everyone was so down on his Hellboy movies that you don't deserve Del Toro's Hellboy 3 world.
Yeah.
You crapped on the Golden Army, and that's what you get.
Well, and it was a bummer for David Harbour because he was really having this huge moment, and he's great, and it just didn't work out. So, and it feels like I don't know if that moment is as much available to him now, which is kind of sad. Del Toro, the two things that he's wanted to do forever, one of them is just simply not happening because it's now being done elsewhere, is the Dark Justice League. Justice League Dark, sorry.
Yeah.
And specifically, his favorite character, I think, of all time is Swamp Thing. Can I tell you a dumb Comic-Con behind-the-scenes story now, and you'll forgive me?
Sure.
So this is what was happening. And then the other one that he's wanted to do forever is at the...
Anti-fascist Pinocchio.
Yes. At the Mountains of Madness. So he was when I worked for a different organization. We were doing these big Comic-Con events, and they were crazy. It was like you would do 30 interviews in 3 days on this live stream. And one of them that I did was with Del Toro. Can't remember what movie it was for at the time, but I think it was the one in the haunted house with Tom Hiddleston.
Crimson Peak.
Crimson Peak, thank you. So anyway,
Hotel Transylvania.
Okay. We were walking off the set together. I was like walking him out, and we were just casually chatting, and he was just talking to me about how he loved Swamp Thing, and that was his favorite character, and that's the thing that he's wanted to do his whole life. And as I'm sitting there talking to him, I hear off in the distance they're screaming about a Batman Superman announcement, which is when they announced that movie, Batman v Superman. And I literally all of my attention went that way, and I just walked away from him.
Ooh.
That took a turn.
How crappy! Like, how embarrassing is that?
That took a turn.
Always the Batman. That is the power of Batman, you guys. It was like every hand on deck. This is what we train for, people. They have announced Batman v Superman. And I immediately went onto our balcony to do a video in which my colleague was texting me what was happening in the hall, and I was saying it to a camera. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it appears that they are releasing a logo, and this is
Del Toro's just doing the Charlie Brown walk back to his next interview.
That was the moment he realized he'd never get to do Swamp Thing.
Horrible. Oh boy, the shame. Power Rangers 2.
I like Power Rangers 1.
Yeah?
They got a great cast together. Those kids, it sounded bad on paper, but in practice, quite fun. I'd watch them Zords get back together again. Why not? What else are they doing?
Well, okay, Hasbro's purchased the Power Rangers rights since 2017, and now a new reboot is in the works at Paramount, said to involve time travel to the 1990s, seemingly leaning into the Rangers' own part in 90s nostalgia.
Yay.
The dream of the 90s is alive in Power Rangers. Yeah, I mean, I guess any excuse to get them in tank tops and rollerblading. Maybe there's the Alita crossover you were looking for.
Yeah. What do they say? We're going to do the final one, and then Ryan, you let us know what they're saying. This one is like, yes, please put it in my eyeballs. Mad Max Fury Road 2. Why are you not higher on this list? You are the movie that we need at this moment. You are the movie that we want at this moment. You are the movie that heals the world at this moment. Anyway, if you're
this is almost as sad as ghosting Del Toro in the middle of a sentence. The fact that this wasn't voted number one or at least a top 3. I mean, come on.
We can't have nice things.
That's why we can't have nice things. George Miller wants to do this movie. He's got it ready. It's the Furiosa prequel. You know, if it's originating from his mind's eye, then he's got something special planned. He's had 80 years to make it. And this is like, it was the best action movie of the last 10 years. I'm going to say it.
Easily, yeah.
So let's get another one before we go for Power Rangers 2. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Where are you people?
I think, the reason I'm so excited about this is, it's a prequel, but I don't think he's going to...
Yeah, none of the movies connect.
Yeah, he's not going to give you a prequel in the traditional sense. Like, there's no story he has to fill in or explain or something like that. It's just going to take place before Fury Road did and do something different. I'm so into this movie, especially if what's her name that played Emma is playing Furiosa, as was rumored.
One of the Fannings, the younger Fanning, right?
No, the Vivitch.
It's the
the Vivitch. Yeah, the Vivitch. We'll just say the
Magic
Vivitch.
from New Mutants.
Oh, that's going to drive me nuts. I'm going to look it up while...
Anna Taylor-Joy?
Anya Taylor-Joy.
Thank you.
Anya Taylor-Joy. Yeah, she's good.
Ryan, we're going to go to the comments, but first, Joe Starr is going to thank you for your patronage.
Hey guys, thanks for your patronage. Thanks for liking, subscribing. And just a reminder, right after the show ends, Nolan North, Hey Fandom, link in the description, RSVP. These are super fun. You should definitely go. If you want to watch the old ones, they're over on fandom.com/videos specifically. And then tomorrow, if you know about Pokemon, show up for that. And I'm going to try to give you money for answering 5 questions correctly.
Win Joe Starr's money.
Win Joe Starr's money.
Joe Starr's money. Joe, a thing that we didn't tell you about this event is that is actually coming out of your paycheck. So, stakes are high, ladies and gentlemen. Take that money from Joe. Ryan, what are they saying in the chat?
Oh, so much fun stuff in the chat. A couple other picks for some sequels. At Nada, Amir says also a sequel to The Nice Guys would be cool, and I saw some votes for that in the tweet too. I'm behind that. At Arceus, Lord of Creation says, I loved the 2017 Power Rangers, and I'm sad that they're doing a reboot instead of a sequel. So some Power Rangers love. At Jeremy Correll says, I really wanted the Men in Black and 21 Jump Street crossover that was talked about.
Oh, yeah. That would have been fun and weird.
And let's see, some Tron thoughts when we were talking about Tron. At Panther says, people hate Tron Legacy because of the CGI of young Jeff Bridges, which was bad. But I look at it this way. He was a flawed digital copy, and that's why he looked that way. Then Daniel Bright says, oh, God, yeah, the de-aging from Tron 2 was nightmare fuel, but I still really enjoyed that movie. That's the hill I'm dying on.
All right. I think I'm on that hill, too. I don't want to die, though. Hey, are they mad about the Iron Man stuff? You know, Ryan.
That's really mad. So, there was one comment where someone said Iron Man 2 was okay, but Ultron was much worse and also tried to set up too much. And I agree. I think Ultron was really the lesson learning movie for them that broke them a little bit. And then the only thing that's really came up was when we were talking Alita, some people were talking about anime movies. Emilio Acevedo says anime movies will take over in about 20 years, and movies like Alita will be the norm. Anyone with teenage kids realizes this is coming.
To me,
it's like just watch anime. Like, there's nothing better than anime. I think it's always a downgrade to bring that, because part of the appeal, I think, is because it's so stylized and like over the top, and you can't bring that to life with real people. But hey, what do I know?
No, I'm with you. I think there's an experience difference between watching something, watching like an anime series. Like, I don't think a My Hero Academia live action movie is gonna work.
But it's such a cousin to comic book storytelling that it would make sense that we would get there eventually, since these are based off mangas and stuff like that you could see that becoming a trend.
Yeah, I don't know. Or at least I don't think it's as fulfilling as just watching the show. It's the same as video game adaptations for me. I don't need an Uncharted movie because I have a much more intimate experience, like playing as Nathan Drake, as voiced by Nolan North, who's going to be on today's Hey Fandom.
You did it! No segued for us. We're going to go get ready. Good job, Joe. We're going to go get ready for this Hey Fandom. Ryan's got to go do a whole other job here in a minute, so we're going to let him do that. Give him a little window for a break, grab a glass of water, all the things. Thank you guys for joining us today. Thank you guys. That was a fun one. I will agree 100% that was a great call out on Ultron, and agree with Joe Starr that you should be watching the Hey Fandom hosted by Trisha Hirschberger with Nolan North, where you can get your questions answered right meow in 20 minutes.
Right meow. See you tomorrow.
If you're watching us right meow. If you're watching us later, it was some time ago.
Back in the,
I hope you liked it.